The Random Show. Inside knowledge of TV, pop culture, and game shows. With your host, executive producer of Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right, Mike Richards. Joined by the shortest moral compass on podcasts, Beth Triffin. And now, The Random Show.
Welcome to The Random Show, everyone. Guess who's back?
Yay!
Shady's back.
Yay!
Back again.
Oh,
Go,
I
Beth.
am back.
Oh, yeah.
Back. Oh, what's the next
Back
one?
from Ohio.
Back from Ohio.
How was
it? It was really good. It was fun.
Well, we missed you. We did 2 full podcasts without you.
I did one. I called in.
You did call in on that one,
Yeah.
so that counts. I apologize.
That's
I have
okay.
misspoken
That's
already
okay.
at the top of the show.
So was last week's really bad?
Top 2 we've ever done?
Jen,
the
don't
one,
nod
the one
at that.
The
Could
one
you,
immediately before.
Could you throw me a bone over here?
Can you just throw me an acorn?
Can you just throw me an acorn, please?
No, they were good shows.
No, I thought they were good.
Yeah, they were good. We missed you. You were
We
missed.
did
Thank
miss
you.
Just know that you were missed, and that we still did good shows. That were still, we kept the quality up in your absence.
Good.
We have a very good random show today, Beth, but let's be honest, they all are, right?
They
Let's
are.
be candid.
They are.
We're going to talk to the newly minted director of The Price is Right, a youngster named Adam Sandler.
Aww.
Not that Adam Sandler,
I
everyone.
know.
A guy who's worked on the show, I think, 17 years, so he'll be in here to talk to us for a little bit. He's got a few shows under his belt.
That's exciting.
40 or 50 of the episodes taped this season
I hear
already.
he's really amazing.
Well, we'll find out how he thinks he's doing.
Oh, well.
How would you say he's doing, Jen Bisgrove?
I think he's doing great. He has come up with some new shots that are, I don't know, more
So creative.
up to date and fun.
His nickname is Fellini, so I call him Fellini.
He throws things in the control room. It's fun.
That's really
He
cool.
doesn't throw things.
No, but seriously, I've talked to a couple people and they're like, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's
really
doing a good job.
So
And
that's
he earned the
awesome.
spot, so it'll be fun to hear what his perspective was. And he was the one who found you.
Yeah, he
Helped
was.
hire you.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's the circle of life.
It is.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
I met Adam PAing on a sitcom, and we spent one day together. He was enamored with me and brought me in
Not
for
that
this.
way. Just thought you were a very competent person, not enamored in the bad way.
Yeah, and so he brought me in to interview with Mike.
And 5
And
short
the rest
interviews
is-
later,
I was
hired you.
a ton of interviews. I had to. I remember we took so many walks.
Yeah. I like to
You guys
figure
Aaron
people out.
Sorkin'd it.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, we did the walk and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
But I was
then-
very honest in my interview with Mike.
No.
He knew all of my flaws.
No. You didn't say that you didn't know how to turn on a computer. You're like, no, I'm pretty good at computers. Yeah, no, I'm really good at that.
I know
And
how to
then-
sync an iTunes.
Oh yeah, and then
Oh,
wasn't it
I
within
don't
the
know
first?
how to do that.
No, but you said that you did, and you took my phone, and do you remember that you erased everything off my phone your second day?
I do remember that.
And I was like, wow, I don't even know this girl enough to be mad at her.
But somehow I still I don't know. How did you still picked me, you know?
No,
I
because
did a
you
good job in my
have
interview.
enormous strengths.
Oh, great. Thanks.
The
Just
problem
not
is-
technical strengths
the
at all. That's
problem
why I
is-
don't run this podcast.
The problem is that our strengths are similar.
Yeah,
And
they are.
so then there's with the rest of the stuff, which is why if we were trying to do the podcast, it would be like with an old tape cassette recorder
yeah.
where you had the red button and play at the same time. And if you didn't do it at the same time, it didn't go and it jammed. That's what we would be doing.
I just remember every time you would watch a DVD, I got a hot sweat. I didn't even know how to
yeah,
Or a DVD?
We're talking about putting a DVD on my TV in my office. She would flip out. She's like, I'm like, I'm going to need to get some people over here to help us with it.
And I really would find people. I had to find people to come do it. It was awful.
It really was.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to Fellini, and then we're going to talk about some of the new shows, daytime programming, what's coming
many
up.
shows.
Yeah, a lot of new stuff, and some of it premiered just yesterday. We're recording the podcast on Tuesday, September 10th, and so the Bethany Frankel show came out, The Test, Queen Latifah came out. All of those numbers are out, and then all the returning ones. We've got some numbers. We'll break down the numbers. We'll compare them to how Price and Deal do. Plus, the Arsenio Hall show premiered last night in late night. Kind of a big gamble there. And they tape right across the hall from us at Let's Make a Deal on the same lot.
There's a lot of shit on this.
There's a lot. And there's some more swearing from Beth. So every time we bring that up at Jen Bisgrove.
I didn't sound like a lady. Can you edit that out?
Guys.
I never swear.
And then just really quick, so you had a good, you have a little bit of a potty mouth. You had a good trip to Ohio.
I did. I celebrated my birthday there.
It was your birthday?
Well, my birthday is this upcoming weekend.
Oh, I was going to say.
But we went to a dairy barn and
Fun.
we ate a bunch of like cornbread, and I pet some goats, and it was good.
Did you eat any? I mean, did you consume dairy products at the?
I did consume dairy products.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It actually kind of grossed me out more, being like, this milk that I'm drinking right now like came from this cow outside the window. But I do have decided that I really like cows, and they just have really soulful eyes, and they have really long eyelashes, and I kind of fell in love with them. So
I do love a good steak. I know what you're saying.
I know, it made me sad.
Did it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. It did. But yeah, so it was really fun.
Little A1.
No.
I like them cooked though. I don't want them. I want them. You know.
You don't want them looking at you?
Like,
That and their little eyelashes. They're really cute. I love cows.
You know what's scary though is on my dad's cattle ranch.
Mm-hmm.
You go for a walk. And when you're on foot,
I forgot your dad has a cattle ranch.
when you go on foot, they are giant, and they are so scared of you. You go by on a horse, and they're fine because they're used to seeing people go by on horses, and the cars, they don't even get out of the way of them. But for whatever, they so rarely see humans just on foot that they freak out and they run away and they stampede, and you're like, nah, I don't.
I actually learned a lot about the differences between dairy cows and beef cows. And dairy cows see people you're so right, because they see people all the time because they'd be milked and blah, blah, blah. And the beef cows, I just said the steak cows. The steak cows.
Which is how they like to be referred.
The steak cows never see anyone. They just live alone and die a horrible death. So,
well, no, they don't die a horrible death because the baby calves do.
That's bad.
So the moms don't die a horrible death. They live on the ranch.
Yeah.
For 10, 12 years. And then once a year or twice a year, you bring in 2 bulls for 190 head of cattle.
Have a party.
And they go crazy and they knock up every single one of the cows. And then they come back.
That's crazy.
What you really want to be is a bull that does that.
Because then
they literally go from ranch to ranch. And it's like, all right, Herbie, I got these 80. You take the other 80.
Of course. Even in cow society, it pays to be a man.
Oh my God! All right, so let's. Speaking of the man, should we get Fellini? Bring in Adam Sandler. Not that Adam Sandler, the director of the show.
One.
Fellini. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Beth.
So Adam was just saying as he was walking in that he is critical of some of our audio issues. We have had some audio setbacks in the past on the podcast.
Well, and one time he told me one of my stories wasn't good.
Oh, just critically just said it just wasn't an interesting story?
So he's kind of, I guess he's a good director, sort of.
And a really good critic.
Sort of, for sure. Well, you know what? You guys have to know. I mean, I am a huge, huge fan of this podcast.
Sure.
Oh.
In fact, sometimes you get your Price is Right information from it.
Most of the time, that is correct.
The time we had Evelyn on, who's co-executive producer of The Price is Right, Adam was listening to it in the car, and he literally found something out that he was unaware. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was about the 4th of July show, and how we were going to do it with We're going to do our Veterans Day show as a 4th of July show this year.
That's
right.
Instead of on Veterans Day.
Right.
But actually, the information, I think, was somewhat discombobulated on the podcast. So
whatever. This thing is informative.
Yeah, we tell people stuff that happens on the show.
Bring the truth.
So
you don't have to tell me, Mike.
Yeah, he's a huge fan, Beth. Just not of your stories. He thinks they're boring.
Okay, cool.
No, but I mean,
just
this
that
is
one.
Bucket list check, done. I could go home and die now on the way home.
Oh,
See, well, don't do that because you're on your motorcycle, and there's like a 97% chance of that. Do you know that Adam's riding a motorcycle to work now?
So Adam and Jen are both riding.
No, Jen is riding an underpowered bicycle. Okay, let's be square as to what Jen's driving right now. We do a fire sale at the end of Let's Make a Deal, and one of the scooters were for sale, and we have a range of scooters, but there's one that runs on gerbil crap, and that is the one that she bought from the fire sale.
There was only one, and I got that one. And it does run on gerbil crap.
There you go.
I'm pretty
good.
sure
That's
my
like
jacket cost more than your bike.
You know what? I will bet you that it did. But and we worry about her because it's underpowered. But you're on a motorcycle. You have 2 children, but yet you don't fear death.
You drive a far way, Adam.
Yeah.
I feared death less than hour 45-minute commutes.
Is that what it is? Is it an hour and 45 minutes?
That
for you
is
to get in?
what it's become in the great city of Los Angeles.
What was it? So you started on The Price is Right how long ago?
Oh gosh. Well, most people say now that I was dropped in a bassinet on the stage floor back in 1972.
little add-on.
But no, that is not correct.
Are you the same age as The Price is Right? Is that true?
I am. I am 4 months older than The Price is Right.
Oh,
no, I'm
Adam.
sorry, a year and 4 months old.
Okay. And so what would that drive have been? I know you probably didn't do that drive, but what would that drive have been back then? I mean, what is it with zero traffic?
When
In
The Price is
1972, when you were born.
Oh God. Well, 38. I've come in at 2:00 in the morning, and it takes me 38 minutes.
And so it takes you an hour and 45 minutes now.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
That's awful.
And then, so now with the motorcycle and cheating death, as you do at every turn, weaving in and out of traffic, how long does it take you now?
Got here in an hour and went the long way.
See, 45 minutes both ways. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's huge.
And do you have a bigger life insurance policy now?
No, of course not.
Do you have a helmet and jackets that are protective?
Very much so.
That's
Although
good.
I haven't found out just how protective yet.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so how many episodes of The Price is Right have you directed to this point? Do you know?
That's an excellent math
His computer-like brain is trying to calculate it right now.
question. Bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop.
We got to work on our sound effects.
God, how many weeks have we taped so far? 7, 8 weeks. So
Sure.
let's say between 40 and 50, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's
was
what
my
you
guess.
predicted.
That's what I guessed.
Yeah, that's good.
See, I'm here.
Cool.
I'm just not good with space time. You could tell me we've done 100. I'm like, well, really? It didn't seem like that many.
Adam,
So-
word on the streets is you're really good.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, no, I
That's what
hear
Beth
it.
was telling
yeah,
me.
I don't even work here anymore, and people have been telling me that.
Who told you?
That's very nice.
Some people who work here.
Do you have my mom's number?
Has anyone told you that he's doing a bad job?
No.
Well, that's encouraging.
No, everyone's been pretty cool.
So I
But
agree.
Adam.
So
Surprisingly
you started working here very young on The Price is Right because your dad actually worked for Mark Goodson, or as you and I call him, Mr. Goodson.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, Mr. Goodson. Yes, my dad worked for Mr. Goodson and Goodson Todman Productions, and then Mark Goodson Productions for many, many years.
And very high up in the company, I believe.
Yes, he made it all the way to Chief Financial Officer / Vice President Finance.
And how
Ooh,
far
money.
were you? This was like one of your first jobs out of school, right?
Yeah.
You went to Syracuse,
I did.
and you studied.
I studied political science.
Oh, my goodness.
So what do you think about Syria? I'm just kidding.
Oh.
So
Well,
I think we might share the same views on this.
I'm pretty sure we do.
Come on,
Now I
Barry.
really want to know.
Oh, come on, Barry. Don't do it. Just Barry.
Don't worry, it's not going to happen.
I think
Yeah.
he's
No,
gonna
I
do
think
it.
he's dodged it.
I
He
think
figured
has
out how to
dodged
dodge it.
Well, yeah, it was.
Was that always a... Oh, so Jen Bisgrove just gave us, this is the part we're going to edit out. We're not editing it out. We're getting right back to Adam. So you're a poli-sci major, but you obviously kind of grew up around that amazing machine that was Goodson Todman, then became, Mark Goodson Productions. And was this your first job? What was your first gig?
Yeah, I mean, first gig out of school. Yeah, Dad worked for the company. Nepotism. It's the only reason I got my job. The only reason I still have it.
Oh, I'm seeing that
At
posted
least
on
you
Golden
admit
Road
it.
right now. I'm
What?
seeing it posted. That just went up on Golden Road.
No, I don't believe they would say such a thing about me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I, after I graduated, it took a couple months. Took the summer off.
Yeah, sure.
At the time, Mr. Goodson had passed away about a year and a half prior, and the company had made the decision to close down the New York offices and move everybody out to L.A. So they made the offer to everybody in New York, because in New York was where all the financial people were. And my dad decided to go and move out here to L.A. and help establish the office and continue to work. And they made the offer to everybody in the office. Some decided to come, some didn't. My dad's assistant was one that didn't want to go. So my dad brought me on as his assistant, essentially, and I helped plan the move and pack up the whole New York
cool.
operation and bring it out here. Stayed on as his assistant, and then about a year and a half later, a job on The Price is Right. Actually, The Price is Right nighttime. So actually, my first job was really on the nighttime Price is
Oh,
Right
wow. I didn't know that.
in 1994 with Doug Davidson.
Sure. Who
Mixing
we
it up.
ran into at the Emmys. He won an Emmy the same night we did.
He did.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw him in the hall today, and I got to congratulate him.
Oh,
finally,
good.
Because I
What a
hadn't gotten
nice
to see
guy
him.
he is.
He
And
was
I thought
super
did an
nice guy.
excellent job hosting that show.
He did a great job.
He was really good. I mean, you never know what's going to last and what's not going to last, but he was really, really solid at it. Because I think a lot of actors are not particularly solid hosts. And I would not have wanted to host the show at the primetime version at the same time that Bob Barker was hosting the daytime version. Yeah. That would blow because you've got no shot. But I thought he did a very nice job. I've gone back and looked at it since I started here, and I thought he did a nice job.
He did. He made it his own. I mean, he had fun. He had a great time. We had a great time with him. And he's a great guy.
So what was your first job on Price?
On the nighttime show, I loaded game graphics.
Wait a minute. You're still loading game graphics after all these years.
Well, you work your way to the middle.
You're so good at it. You could never let it go.
I am. Loaded game graphics. Eventually helped book our little grocery items into the show, helping Kathy Greco, who was the producer of that program. Fingers Greco.
Good old fingers.
Hey, Kathy. Hope you're listening.
She listens to every single one.
Yeah, she's
as soon as she figures out how to turn on her iPhone, she will, and then figures out where the App Store is. I'm the one that explained to Kathy, and I love Kathy. I'm the one that explained to her how to reply all on email, and I was like, oh boy, you know what? She was very good. It's like we were talking about. Some of us have monstrous strengths in some areas. Oh,
totally. I'm right up there with Kathy Greco.
Yeah. You were like, I just reply, and then I type in everybody's email address.
I do remember I taught someone here once how to use the copier one time.
And you were like...
And I was like, yeah, bitches. Oh, God, no.
Yeah,
oh, no.
Yes. And because I'm a fan, I know all about this.
Yeah. Such a lady.
Oh, no. This is horrible. Will you cut that, Jen?
No.
Absolutely not. In fact, we'll put it on a loop, and that's how we will end the show. So, when did you realize, because I know this, and I know this only from not you telling me, but from executive producer Sid Vintage, who took over when Barker retired. He became the executive producer of The Price is Right, that he was the one that knew that you wanted to direct The Price is Right, felt that you were a huge asset to the company and to the show, and thought that you should direct like right away. He thought you should have directed 5 years ago, and actually pushed very hard for you to do it. And it was like, wait a minute, who? He's the stage manager. He's the what are we talking about here? When did you know that you wanted to direct?
I think when I had the opportunity when we were doing showcases back in the day, they were skit based, and part of the fun was figuring out all the props, figuring out the sets, and getting all the pieces to come together. And the more I started out writing them, and then the more I got into it, the more I was kind of allowed to move the pieces around and describe how the whole thing was going to work. And I would talk to the director and say, hey, here's what we talked about. Here's how we saw it happening. Here's what I think should happen. And then when I got to stage manage the show, I actually got to move all the pieces in place and actually got to make it work and put my hands on it. And, when the model had to come in from this side, put her in from this side. She had to grab that prop. She had to grab that prop. So then that's kind of when I thought, this is kind of fun. And
but when you were
this is kind of what I want to do.
When you were in the booth at Feud 100 years ago, I thought you saw a guy directing and went, hey, that looks like a pretty good thing to do.
I did.
Mike wants you to tell a very specific story.
You want me to tell that?
No, I like that one because I didn't know. I mean, I figured that's where it came from because he's always, since I've been here, moved all the parts and essentially directed the show from the floor in a way when you were stage managing, at least during my tenure.
Yeah, well, and frankly, that's what stage managers do. I mean,
should be doing.
Yeah,
yes.
They're the physical extension of the director on the floor. You're supposed to be a step or two or three or five ahead of the director so that the director just looks down and it's there. But the story you're referring to, that's how I knew that directing was something that I was interested in, wanted to do. The story you're referring to is how I knew I wanted to work in television. Because
yes.
when I was 16 years old, my dad brought me out here to Stage 33, and they were taping Family Feud at the time, and I got to go in the control room and watch them tape the show, and sat there actually stood in the back row and watched the show tape for 15, 20 minutes, and there was a break in the action, and I leaned over to my dad and I said, this looks like fun. And he said, it is fun. And I said, you think I could do this? And he said, son, you can do anything you want.
Aww.
Because if you know my dad, it's kind of the way my dad talks.
Yeah.
I just met him like 2 weeks ago. He was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
He's super cool.
Like the proudest dad you've ever seen sitting watching his kid direct The Price is Right.
That's really cool.
And knows the history of the show and what that actually means more than most dads. My dad thinks it's cool, and I tell him it's really cool what I do, and he thinks it's cool because I'm his son, and
Right.
if I was a dairy farmer, he would be like, cool. But your dad actually gets what happened to you
Yeah,
and what this is.
and was there for that moment with me. We shared that moment, and
Right.
then just a couple of weeks ago, he got to come out and actually see me sit in that very chair in that very studio.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
Pretty
I just
ama-
got
I mean,
goosebumps.
Yeah, you can't.
Aw.
You know, when you write stuff, you'd think that was faked, but
Yeah.
that actually happened.
And,
That's awesome.
And so what will, if you're a Price is Right fan, what are we doing differently this year in your eyes that we haven't been? I know we've changed some really cool shots.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, there's some really fun stuff.
The stuff I just want to make the show more active. Bounce around a little bit more, show everything, tell the whole story. We, as you know, don't have a lot of time. When I first started on the show, we probably had another 5 minutes of program time. When the show first started,
Right.
I think it was 40. It was like 47, 48.
It was in the high 40s, 46, 47, 48,
48
somewhere in
minutes
there.
of program time. Now we're down to 38 minutes and 14 seconds, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
And actually, that's high because of some of the other things that they carve out, whether it's some of the win at home. Like, there's other things that then even carve into that. And it can be, I've seen it to where our actual program time is under 38 minutes. Not always, but in special instances. And you just
Wow.
go, I always say this show is a fat man in a little suit. We start.
I don't know if I've ever heard you say that before.
Oh, yeah.
But I like it.
I like it. You start and you're 2 minutes long on this show,
Right.
which and we have a host who is not fast. He's great, but he's not fast at getting it to time.
Right. But then the challenge is, as you know, to tell the whole story in a very short period of time. And we haven't changed the format. It's still 6
And
games.
nor will we. So don't write the internet and say, "Oh my God, they talked about changing the format."
Yeah.
Although if we went to 4 games, wouldn't that be great? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Oh God.
Yeah, what you're going to see this season.
Yeah. It's 4 games.
No, 2.5.
Well, that's what we're timed for now. If you actually played out the timing right, we just keep losing minutes to programming, which is what's happening in television. That's not Price is Right. That's not CBS. That's television at large.
Yeah, and nor do we begrudge CBS the ability to make money off of our show.
No, in fact, we strongly encourage it, don't we?
Indeed, we do. But yeah, that's the challenge is that same format and telling the story. And we have a lot of characters, as you know. We have a host, we have an announcer, we have models, we have games, we have an audience, and of course our very, very important contestants, the stars of the show. And you got to tell the whole story. So it's bouncing around, it's seeing everything, it's still maintaining the gameplay. It's very important that people at home be able to watch the show with the sound off and be able to still know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
That is the way we look at it. You should
That's
be
really
able
cool.
to know what's happening on the show based on Adam covering the game boards enough to see what's happening and the expressions on people's face.
Yeah.
Cool.
You should know what's happening. And that is, given that we have 5 cameras, which is a lot, but not 7, which would probably be perfect. That's tough to do. But I think we're getting it. I mean, I think we're starting to see it play out as its own story in each act, which is really cool.
That's
Yeah,
cool. That's
and-
all you, Adam.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
neat.
But it's also we've built the set out now to the point where it's literally a 360 set.
Right.
We can see everything. There's not a place on that set that we can't shoot where it isn't pretty, and we're doing more relating the audience area to where Drew is, relating the game to where Drew is, so that you can actually use the moments during the banter when Drew's talking to the contestant about the game. We can shoot over their shoulder and we can still see them talking, but we can still see the game. So you can, at home, you can choose. You can watch Drew talking to the contestant, or you can watch the game and get an idea. Oh yeah, I think it's plus. I think it's minus. I think it's.
I think
higher.
that's
I
the
think
hardest
it's lower.
part. I think the hardest part is you want to show Drew you want to show the contestant in the gameplay, see what they're thinking when they're referring to the audience. You want to see the audience, but very important to Adam and I, probably more than any duo in a while. Probably, I mean, back to the Barker days. I think that this is more how they did it. But I think this season we're really even focusing, thanks to Adam, on could you play along at home perfectly? Like, would you have enough information based on that shot that if you hang on it too long, it's boring and you're missing what Drew and the contestant are doing? And if you don't hang on it long enough, you're like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I don't even know what I'm hoping that they do, or I can't put myself in the situation of that person to say, oh, I would have said that much.
Right.
And that's when you talk about time constraints. You're just going at nuclear speed at that point. It's brutal. But I think we're seeing it better than we have.
That's cool. I hadn't thought about that way before. That's neat.
Yeah, and it's conveying excitement. It's jamming shots in, when you want to get the contestant and the audience and Drew, and back to the audience, back to the game, back to the contestant, and then back to the game again. What's the next thing? What
was the first? I have two more questions for you. Then we're going to talk, and I want you to hang around we're going to talk about daytime. What just happened? We're taping the show, as I said, September 10th. So all of the new daytime shows premiered yesterday, and we have ratings, and then we have some of the veteran shows, and then how the Price is Right stacks up against them. So in ratings, I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to talk down. But I wanted to get your take on what was it like when you sat down for the first time, because you had directed the show before this season. You had filled in because you were the AD. So it wasn't your first time directing the show by any means. I think you had done how many?
12.
12 or something like that.
14, yeah.
But what was it like sitting down for the first time that morning and knowing that, and when you said, okay, roll tape?
Amazing. I mean, it's literally a dream come true. I mean, to be able to direct this show, the show I've worked on for so long, that I know so well, and to be able to put my hands on it like in that way is just an incredible experience. I'm not going to use this platform to make this thank you, Mike Richards, but thank you, Mike Richards,
because Beth and Jen just get all pissed
off.
You can cut that out too
Mike
if you want. But I am very grateful to Mike. I'm very grateful to Evelyn. I'm very grateful to Jen Mullen, Fremantle, for letting me do it. CBS. Yep. It's an amazing experience, and to get to do it, that's really the true bucket list one for me.
That's cool.
I was kind of joking about the show.
What?
Aww.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Would you wear acorn jewelry?
Oh, yeah, would you? Because I'm making acorn jewelry.
That's the way she's going to make money now. And she's not kidding.
Yeah, sure, I'm in.
Okay, great. Oh,
I
love Adam.
He's directing.
He's great.
You know what? Here's
Adam and I have like a nice relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You fear him.
I'm not scared of Adam.
She's not scared.
No, I know.
Never has been.
Never will be. So my last question, and this is just being a Price and TV nerd, is describe what Mr. Goodson was like. Because you knew him. I mean, he was older, but you were young, and your dad, when you were a kid, I mean, you're 7, 8, whatever, 9, 10. You traveled with him a little bit, didn't you? Didn't you fly on the Goodson jet?
I did.
Which is awesome. And, I mean, you actually knew a guy that I think is largely overlooked as an icon, as one of those people that really changed television. And usually everyone had like one show. No one had. How many did he have on at one time?
God, maybe 10.
Yeah,
or maybe a couple more.
And by the way, there was only 3 networks, so he was like, I mean, at a point, he was a large percentage of television that was available to watch, which is kind of insane. But what was he? So I think he's overlooked in that way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even to this day, I mean, in terms of Guinness Book of World Records, the guy with a television credit for the most consecutive weekdays in history is Mark Goodson.
Wow.
And technically, he still has one.
Right.
On The Price is Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't credit him at the end of the show anymore, but
maybe we should.
It's his show, and
that'd be kind of a cool thing. I mean, we took it out when Fremantle bought Goodson. They took out the logo, but it might be kind of a cool thing. I'm going to get in trouble here, but like it might be kind of a cool thing to put, because I'm all about the history of it, and I love that stuff. These titans that did amazing things before there was a business. Nobody thought, oh, you know what? I should get 8 shows on the air or 10. Nobody thought that way. Dick Clark did, and I worked for him. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have, lived in a time when I could have worked for Mr. Goodson, because I'd have loved it. So anyway, answer, because I want to get on with what daytime's going to be like this season. But what was he like?
Well, for me, it's an interesting perspective, because I didn't really know him, but I certainly knew of him. I had certainly met him, since I was 10 years old. So you have to, from my perspective, I'm a 10-year-old kid who grew up knowing who Mr. Mark Goodson was, and my dad's relationship with him. and his relationship to his own company. So he was very larger than life to me, because he was, he's the big boss. He's my dad's boss. Whenever my dad took me to the office, I always wanted to know if Mr. Goodson was there, because if Mr. Goodson was there, it meant I couldn't drive the remote control car in the lobby on Park Avenue on the 30th floor. So that was always very important to me as a youngster. Honestly, you'd have to work with him. I'm not the right person to ask, but in terms of what I knew, he was an incredibly generous man, incredibly generous to his friends, his family, his employees. His relationship to my family, it will never be matched. Hugely important in the fact that, my dad had a great job working for him. The job put me through college, put my sister through college.
Did your dad retire working for him or for the company? I know he had passed, but or did he work after that?
He worked after that.
Did he?
Yeah, for about.
But how long did he work there? How long did he work?
From 1980 to 2001-ish.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So a big part of his career.
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah.
How much of in your perception, was he a part of the development, creation of all the formats, and how much of it was he just really good at bringing in smart people who then created great shows, and then he knew how to sell them? What do you think that relationship was?
He built teams. He had his core people, and he'd move them around. And when some producers and directors shows were done, he'd move them on to something else. He'd mix and he'd match. They always came. My impression is, and I'm not really the right person to ask, but it always came through him eventually. He'd always go to the studio. That day when I went to Family Feud, he was there. He'd sit in the control room, and he'd just sit there on the far side and just watch the showdown. And when I was there, he'd make a couple comments. You should do this instead. You should do that instead. We should do this. We shouldn't do that. But he put his hands on everything. He put his stamp on it all. And he was the kind of guy who, he was able to see what was wrong and fix it.
Could he see it before everyone else? Was he that guy that would just sit in the corner and go, if you just put that over there? Yeah. Or was he just so authoritative that he said it and people did it and it was right?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Certainly if he said it, it was done. So let it be written, so let it be done. That's just the way that was.
Yeah.
But
what we should do? We should have your dad on.
Yeah.
Sometime.
He would love that.
And talk, because I'd love to hear, about what that, 1982, what was Goodson Todman like? What was happening at that point, and what was his role and all, because they generated so much content. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. It's the unsung part, it's the unknown part, it's the financial standpoint. It's him coming through, from on the financial end. He was never involved in the creative end.
Yeah, but he had a bird's eye view of it. He had a really good look at it.
He knew how much the creative end cost.
Well, he sure did. But he did it from 3,000 miles away, which was the interesting relationship, because Mr. Goodson intentionally separated the New York and the L.A. operation so that the financial end was in New York, because all the production started in New York and eventually all migrated to Los Angeles. But he kept the financial end in New York. He wanted a presence on both coasts for his company,
right?
And he intentionally kept the financial people apart. And the joke was that my dad was the official check signer, because on everybody's paycheck, this was before direct deposit, everyone would get their paychecks on the 15th and the 30th or whatever it was, and they'd open up their paychecks, and the check was always signed by Alan Sandler, and no one really knew who he was.
Because he didn't live, they'd never met him.
They'd never met him. He was just the guy who signed their checks.
That's awesome.
That's funny. Then, I think he came out here 3-4 times, and he wouldn't even meet most of the people. He would just meet with, a couple of people here and there, and then go back home. So all these people were like, oh, he's the official check signer.
I don't know who he is, but I like him.
Right, yeah.
Because every time I see his name,
friend.
I get money. Jen Bisgrove, we should book Alan Sandler. That would be amazing.
That'd be super
You
fun.
should. He would love it.
All right, so there you go, everyone.
Yay.
The new director of The Price is Right, 40 to 50 episodes in. We're also delusional from the week of taping that we're having, that no one actually even knows what we're doing right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a big week. We did Halloween, which was amazing.
That's always
Looking
big.
forward to everyone seeing that, and we've done some of the other big surprising stuff that we have coming up in around Christmas time, stuff like that. So we have a lot. We've had a big week
we've had a big 8 weeks.
Yeah, we've had a big ever since we started taping. I do feel like it's like and go.
Yeah,
just been going.
If you miss an episode, you will miss something.
Yeah, because and not in a distracting way. I mean, not in a hey, you're not able to watch the show you love. It's the show you love with some extra fun stuff in it. So Adam's doing a great job directing. Let's talk about some of the new shows and some of the returning shows. They're all up on the whiteboard here in my office in the Fungalow. The new and some of this information is just based off of some articles. So if the information's wrong, it's because we just read it out of some articles that were on the intranet. Okay, so these are not Fremantle nor CBS officially stamped these numbers. These are just numbers that we read doing some research today. Because we were trying to have the guys from Golden Road on, the founders of Golden Road.
Yeah,
we reached out to them.
Are
they said yes, and then they said, actually, we can't do it in the middle of the day because we have to work. And I said, you know what, we'll move it until after the end of the day. And that worked for Beth, and that worked for Adam. And then I guess it fell through at the last minute, right, Jen Bisgrove? They were working late tonight.
Well,
so
that's too bad.
It takes a lot to run Golden Road.
No, it's not just Golden Road. It's their job. I think it's their real job. So hopefully they'll come on at some point because
I'd like them to.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, I know that their fan base has a lot of questions, and I thought if we had Adam here to answer them and Beth here to answer them, and I would be here to answer them.
I could just answer some questions.
You could lay it out.
Yeah. So Mark and John, if you guys want to come on, I will be here too. I want to come.
To answer
that'd
the
be
question.
awesome.
So it'll be fun. But I thought we'd run through this real quick and just look at what the landscape's going to look like. New shows that premiered this last Monday. The Bethany.
I didn't know you had your own show.
Yeah. I know. It's going around the corner.
Yeah, it's more like right. And what's that? And Queen Latifah has not premiered until Queen Latifah premieres next Monday. So Bethany Frankel, who is from Real Housewives, is that where she's from? And she had the skinny bitch margarita or something like that.
Then she had her own show with her husband.
Did
Bethany
she?
Gets Married.
Bethany Ever After. We should really get you a microphone because you watch a lot of bad television. So anyway, she has.
Want to borrow mine?
Because you have no idea who that is. the Real Housewives of. So that came out. That did a 0.9 in the households and a 0.6 in women to 25-54. The Test, which I had never heard of. I had never heard of that show.
I've never heard of that show.
I was in a meeting some of the people, some CBS people on the CBS Productions side. There and they do stuff for Tribune and stuff like that. I think that's a Tribune show. And who is the host of it? It's Kirk Fox. He's an actor, stand-up comedian, and it's the way they described it to me in the meeting was a conflict show, a little bit like not Maury Povich, who is the guy,
Jerry Springer,
shaved head,
Steve, the old bodyguard,
African American guy,
Montel, Maury, no, Montel.
Just stop talking so I can get a pickup. So apparently, they told me in the meeting that this was going to be like a Montel Williams. So there would be conflict, but not like Jerry Springer or Steve Wilco or whatever that is. And they use lie detectors and DNA tests to resolve issues.
That sounds stressful.
That's kind of how we do it in the bungalow.
Somewhat, yes. We should get a lie detector. That'd be kind of amazing, actually. But honestly, I had not heard of it. Other than that meeting, but it came out. It did a 0.7 in the households. Now that may be one that is cleared maybe a little bit less in the country, and that's going to be more of a slow rollout. Not like it's in 20 markets. I think it's probably above 90% in the country, but or maybe they just figure LA isn't their market, and that's why they haven't hit us on it. Because I literally had not heard of it before I was in that meeting. The one and I really haven't seen much on Bethany either, to be honest.
Oh, I watched a segment where she learned how to twerk.
Yeah,
twerking.
I know what twerking is. So
I actually know what that is too.
Good job, Miley Cyrus. Well, it's because you have all of her albums.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, you
can. I was talking to my dad the other day, and my dad's like pretty with it. I was sort of surprised he did this, but he was like, "So I gotta ask you a question." I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, I know totally, obviously, what texting is, but what is twerking? And he literally thought it was something you did on your phone, and then I had to explain what it was.
You know what? It's a combination of tweeting and texting. It's called twerking. So she learned how to twerk.
Yeah, and Nick Cannon taught her. So
you didn't need your whole seat, just the edge of it, to watch that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was It made me sad.
For her?
Yeah.
Well, don't be sad for her. She has a show. That's a big. Not a lot of people get that at bat.
I know.
But you just don't think it's good?
Well,
now, didn't they test? I think that's one of the ones they tested. So this is a thing that's happening more in the last decade, where they'll put it on 20 markets and just test how it does. So they keep production costs way down, and sometimes they'll do a slow build, and then sometimes they'll just do hey, the numbers were good, and then that proves that it'll do well, and then it goes across the U.S. and gets cleared in all the markets. That's what they did with Access Hollywood Live. But I think Access Hollywood Live is still only in like 20 to 40 markets, so it's not everywhere. So sometimes they stay that small, and sometimes they grow, and then sometimes they go away, which was the case with the Kris Jenner show, which is the what do they call it? The Kardashians' mom had her own talk show and got Kanye West to come on for one of the 40 test shows and showed the first picture of the baby, and I mean they pulled out all the stops. But apparently that tidal wave is over because it is not getting a full pickup.
Are you sad, Adam?
That is surprising.
You know, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised. I never saw the show, so because maybe it was on in LA, but I never saw it just because she has such a big name and she is polarizing to people who watch daytime television.
Right. I
would think that she would at least get that first year.
Yeah.
Well, and people can't seem to get enough of that family.
Right. And while I'm sure some of that has waned, I thought with the Kanye booking and all of that stuff, you know, all this, especially the first year of a show, and really it's the first month of a show, it's like a movie premiere. It's all about your first bookings because that gives you legitimacy, and that when you have a show that's going to be a celebrity interview show like that. But so that one didn't go, and I was actually surprised with that. I think that was Telepictures, and I think they thought they had that pretty well sewed up for the first season, but it must not have done well. And then, like Bisgrove mentioned, the Queen Latifah show premieres this coming Monday. Interestingly, I didn't know this, but in like 2000 or 2001, she had a daytime talk show.
Oh, really?
So I haven't heard.
I like her.
I mean, she's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it.
Very smart, and it's produced by Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh, that's really cool.
So there's a little bit of booking power there.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're the hands-on day-to-day producers.
I'm sure they're there every day.
I like that graphic this way. Although, you know what? They're pretty smart people, and I bet you they are pretty involved. So
I think seems really awesome.
I think that's the one to beat. I wonder how much the fact that she's already failed doing it once hurts her. But if I don't remember that it was on, maybe no one else does either.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. It was. I think it was 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. I don't think it was 2001 because I was working on a daytime talk show that premiered, and I don't remember her premiering against us.
Okay.
So it must have been the year before. I was doing the other half that premiered on September 10th, 2001.
Oh, is that right?
Uh-huh. And so, you know, you spend all the marketing dollars, and so these first numbers are going to be pretty inflated because this is where you throw the kitchen
money
sink
at. Yeah.
And I always say the funniest, most entertaining thing to watch is a talk show tell you what it is its first episode. Because you're like, here's what we're going to be. Here's what's different about us. We're going to talk about issues. So there's always the here's what we're going to do moment, which is super awkward and contrived. Then it's all about the really good booking that always falls out at the last minute, and we'll talk about what happened. I think at the Arsenio Hall show because I think that's what happened. Although it did great, the Arsenio Hall show, which I'm really glad about because my friend Neil Kendall's the executive producer of it. So I was glad that it did really really well. Like it went out of the park. And so that's always fun. And then every daytime talk show always starts with, and then we're going to do field pieces. We don't want to have it just contained in the audio. You know, we want to go outside the studio. We want to bring the real world. You know, we want to go to the real world. And about the second week, the executive in charge of production looks at the budget and goes, Jesus,
we can't go anywhere.
You guys are not allowed to eat. We're actually cutting back a camera in the studio. And we're going to have 30 people in the studio audience as opposed to 200. Every show I've ever worked on, no, we're going out on the street. We're going to talk to the people. We're going to bring the show to the people. And then literally it's over.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what's happening on these. I think people have gotten smart and know they just can't afford it long term, and why start doing it. So I'm interested to see the Queen Latifah thing. So here's what went away last year. We'll compare some numbers. Jeff Probst had a daytime talk show, which I was cheering for because I like, you know, the average white guy host. I cheer for him to succeed because I feel like through his success, I could have some success hosting.
Yeah.
And he's such a nice guy, like hardworking, earnest. Yeah, that one didn't work.
So what does that make you feel about
makes
you?
Yeah, I got no shot. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be 97 years old doing this podcast with you.
We're taking this podcast to the top.
We're actually there.
Okay.
Ricky Lake, who I guess is a great talent. I don't know. They had very high hopes for that. It went away. It got pulled, I think, mid-season. I mean, some of these, and Probst went the full season. And then Anderson Cooper, after his second year, that went away. They tried to add.
No, that made me sad.
You know, I really like him, but I don't see why he's relatable.
Anyway. Yeah.
I don't understand why he would want to do it other than the money is gargantuan.
Was this Ricky Lake's second time through?
Yeah. Ricky Lake had a successful 10, 12
Why
year
did
run.
her thing even end in the first place?
I think that it's all of them kind of ended, and for whatever reason, they were able to hold on to Maury, but Montel eventually went away. You know, a lot of those. Yeah. There was a lot. Lisa, which I worked on, went away. That's that crop.
Yeah.
But she stayed on for a long, long time, and I think she tried to go in the Oprah direction and tried to be a little bit more soft. And then I remember them going, "Oh no, hell no, we got to go all the way across the line and just be insane." And I thought she was always a good referee of that stuff, but that show did not work. Although it had an amazing, probably the best of all of them, social media outreach plan. They tried really hard on that. And returning this year, the Ellen DeGeneres show, Steve Harvey, which was kind of the breakout, the strongest one from last year. Dr. Phil is back. Kelly and Michael, which I still don't understand.
Kelly? Oh,
Kelly Ripa.
Right,
and
sorry.
I still don't understand him on that show, although I like him. I don't get it. Katie Couric. Awesome is back, and awesome time. It's so perfect. She got engaged just in time for the season premiere and to be on the cover of People. Not that I'm at all cynical about things. I was like, oh, that's funny. Why would she be? Oh, it premiered. Literally, we got the magazine. I was like, what an interesting thing, because she's a private person, and I respect that. And then all of a sudden, Katie Couric tells all, she finds love again. I was like, oh yeah, her talk show premiered on Monday. Okay, got it.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dr. Oz. Yeah. Dr. Oz, The Doctors, The View. Jenny McCarthy started on Monday. And
oh, yeah.
Don't be that excited about that. That's against The Price is Right, that show.
I know.
Yeah,
I just think she's so cool.
We like her.
Because of The Price is Right, because she came on it.
We like her. So it'll be interesting to see how the ratings shake out after this week, because we're still in repeats until the 23rd. Is when our season starts. Both Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right, I think, come back on the 23rd. Adam's doing the math right now. And then then there's The Chew, which inexplicably grew almost all year last year. The Talk, which had a breakout season last year. Tons of was it last year that they had that group for the first time, or was it the year before? I can't remember. But anyway, they made some massive changes to that show, and it has really, really done very well. And then there's a show called with Bill Cunningham as the host. And Jen Disgrove, can you describe that one, please?
I watched a little clip. I had never heard of it either. Watched a little clip online. Reminded me a lot of like Jerry Springer, Steve Wilco. That type of, yeah.
Why are these shows?
What does he look like?
Very Old Man River.
With the beard? Does he have a beard?
No, just very old.
What does Old Man River look like?
I don't know. It's my expression for blue hairs. You know.
Oh, so he's old.
Wow. Okay, so that was enlightening.
I'm so glad I'm here.
Okay, so let's look at some stuff real quick. So Bethany premiered with a 0.9 in the households, as I mentioned, 0.6 women 25 to 54. Probst premiered with a 1.9 and a 0.7 in women 25 to 54. Ricky Lake came out with a 0.8 and a 0.4 in women 25 to 54. The Test did a 0.7 in households. Queen Latifah, as I said, premieres on the 16th. So I'd be interested to see what the strategy on Bethany is. Do they think it's going to be a slow growth? Because I know Probst they promoted the heck out of before that show came out, which is how you get a big number to pop. Beth, you look like you have something you want to say.
I just feel like every time you say Bethany, I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah, because I named you Bethany.
Yeah, I know.
Not after her.
No.
I think so much more of you than that. And then to give our listeners an idea, Price is Right does a 4.3 in households and a 1.8 in women 25 to 54. That compares to like Ellen DeGeneres, who does a 3.1 in households and a 1.8 in 25 to 54. So a lot more people watch Price, but the women 25 to 54 is about the same. Steve Harvey does a 1.3, 0.7. Dr. Phil, a 1.8 and a 0.7. I was surprised that his was not higher than that. I always thought that his was like this huge Oprah-esque juggernaut, and apparently it's not.
Well, there's a whole huge billboard on Coanga or Vine that says that Dr. Phil's the most watched talk show in America.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out whether whenever you see that, be skeptical, because does that mean because it repeats? You know, did they run it 3 times a day? I don't know.
Yeah.
But you look at but I've seen the same billboard that you have, and I'm looking at the numbers. Now, that was just from last week. So, but I always thought that thing was like a monstrosity.
Like a huge thing.
Because Oprah was doing 5s and 6s. I mean, she was doing insane numbers. And you know what's funny? All of these numbers are fascinating. If we should try to look it up. We probably don't have time. But Jeopardy and Wheel, their numbers are just crazy. I mean, they're just monsters.
Are they?
I mean,
have been for a long time.
Yeah, always have been, but still stay strong. I mean, they'd be double what Ellen's numbers are.
Wow.
I mean, they're juggernauts.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just unbelievable juggernauts. But so that was Dr. Phil. Kelly and Michael does a 3 and a 1.2. I'm not surprised that they do so well. That has been on for a long time. Obviously, that transition with Michael Strahan went very smoothly because I'm sure they lost a little bit just because anytime you make a change, you lose. Mm-hmm. But it looks like their numbers are good. Katie, a 1.7.9. That's about where I saw her. So that's kind of an idea of that, which is an interesting look. Oh, and then Let's Make a Deal does a 2.5 and a 1.1 in women 25 to 54. So that's
pretty great.
It's doing
Let's
really,
Make a Deal
really
is doing really well. That's awesome.
What it's from where we came.
It was.
When you saw the number, I was like, "Wait, that's the demo? No, that's the
2.5.
households. Oh God!" But yeah, it continues to grow. It had a. I don't know that there was another show in daytime. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. That had a bigger growth. We had double-digit ratings growth on Deal, and big ratings growth on Price as well.
Well, look out! Bill Cunningham is on your tail.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He may be here right now. I don't know. He may have just been the guy that fixed the copier. I don't really know who that is.
But producer Jen Bisgrove would have recognized him
as Old Man River.
Old Man River. And then the biggest surprise to me, and I'm not trying to be negative, but Arsenio came out and it was up 90% from a year ago in the time period averages. So whatever was on in that same time on those channels,
no one watched it.
Was Bars and Tone.
I love that show.
Yeah, that was really so soothing. No, I mean it's incredible. A 1.9 in the households, 1.1 in 18 to 49, 1.2 in adults 25 to 54. It was the top-rated late-night show last night. That's for the audience 18 to 49 and ages 25 to 54.
There's a really interesting article in the New York Times about Arsenio coming back, but mostly it's about how he was in late night and what kind of the late night deal was, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
And then now that he's back, how much it's changed
totally
and
different.
how it's increased tenfold, and it's not just a late night everyone does skits, you go out,
YouTube
you do all
videos,
these things.
viral videos,
and it was really crazy because he was talking about kind of what he plans to pick and choose, and it was really interesting just how late night has changed.
Because I love late night. I mean, that's what I got into television because I watched Johnny Carson, which makes me 117 years old. I know that. But it's
Old Man River. You're Bill Cunningham.
River. Welcome back. I'm Mike Richards. Bill Cunningham's out today, but I'm just as old. Listen, I don't know if that's your daughter or not, but I got a great DNA test for you. And while you're taking the DNA test and we're getting the results, have I got a lie detector test for you? We'll be right back. So I was around and a fan of it when Arsenio was doing his thing, and there was Johnny Carson. And then no one else. And then Arsenio Hall came out. And it was, Arsenio was 40 years younger than Johnny and hip and urban. And he had the dog pound. And I think is one of the major contributors to why Bill Clinton became president.
Totally.
Because he comes on, he plays the sax with his Ray-Bans on and was so charming and likable. And, I mean, if you think culturally where Arsenio was, he was very important at the time. Never got close to Carson's ratings. I mean, couldn't even, wasn't the rounding error on The Tonight Show. But culturally was really, really important. I never understood why he left. Yeah. I don't know whether because he didn't do it that long. No. And then he was gone. And the show seemed like it was very successful. But yeah, it's a different landscape. And he keeps, in all the interviews, he keeps going, well, when I was going up against Johnny, and I'm like, dude, Johnny's gone. I mean, I wish he was here too. But the Tonight Show is the least of your worries. It's Conan and there's like
Carson Daly and Jimmy Kimmel and
anybody with the name Jimmy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that guy did. Hey, Bisgrove, who was his first guest again? Chris Tucker. So I was on the ground. I think they were trying to figure out. I think they had Obama for a minute to come on.
No way.
Yeah, and I'll find out if this is true. But this was the rumors that Obama, and then I don't know if you guys have known, but I think we were about to go to war with Syria. And then now maybe we're not, but that's what was going on.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Yeah, well, it's because you were listening to the podcast, and you're still behind, so you need to catch up.
I realize that.
So, but good for them.
Refreshing the app right now.
Oh, good, but it's good for them because I don't think they had the major gets that they wanted, but they still premiered really well.
Yeah,
and hopefully
really cool.
Tonight they hang on and do even better. And then one last thing, and we're really long on the podcast tonight, but there's a lot to talk about. The 1,000,000-second quiz premiered last night.
I know.
Hosted by a youngster named Ryan Seacrest.
Oh.
Yeah, he's on American Idol.
Yeah, he is.
With Randy Jackson.
Yeah.
Who's not really even on it anymore. And so 1,000,000-second quiz on NBC, the first live network quiz show in almost 50 years. And it's going to be on every night for roughly a million seconds, right?
So is it going on while it's not on
yes.
TV?
So there is an app, and then you can watch certain parts of it, and you can see things that are. I don't think Ryan's there, but you can see what something is happening during that time.
I just thought it was sort of weird. Like when you watch the opening of it, they do the whole big opening, and then they're like, they go to the contestant who's already won $45,000.
Right. Because the idea is it's a stunt that's live, that's happening.
I totally get it. It was
seconds.
just sort of like weird to be like, I wish they had started it then. Like instead of being like, oh, this guy's already won. You know what I mean?
There must have been, and I have to admit that, like the rest of the country, I was watching Monday Night Football last night when I got home late, and I caught the last. I walked in at like 8:45, and it started at 8, and it was done at 9, and I was like, oh, Monday Night Football, I really want to see what's going on, and then I was like, crap. And I woke up both of my kids. I was like, I needed to record, so I missed it. I have it recorded tonight. I saw just a little part of it. It looked good.
Yeah, it looked
Seacrest
cool.
looked engaged, like he was into it.
He looked
pushing
really
harder.
excited.
Yeah, he was really over the top excited, which is good for a game. But they had a terrible time with their app, didn't they, Jen Bisgrove?
They did. So there's an app where you play along, you watch, and then whoever is scoring a lot on the app can actually be chosen as the next contestants. So that's very important to the show. It crashed halfway through the East Coast show, and they were hoping to get it back up for the West Coast, and it never came back yesterday. So allegedly, it's fixed today.
Wow.
And we're recording this podcast before the West Coast version, but the East Coast version, I guess Seacrest started by going, everybody, feel free to try the app again. I'm told that it's going to work. But how big of a disaster is that? Because
that sounds stressful.
Well, the whole idea is that this is supposed to be bigger than just being on television. And
that's
for
like
a major
life encompassing
component of it to go down, the whole play along of it, because the idea is that they'll come to your house if you're playing well and knock on your door, Publishers Clearinghouse style, swoop you up and put you into the chair next to the big chair or whatever is happening.
That's crazy.
So ratings breakdown real quick. It did 1.7 million viewers. Monday Night Football it did a 1.7. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. But 1.7 in total viewers. Monday Night Football did 11.6. Do
you think that counts the amount of people that fell asleep with their TVs on?
Oh, Adam, no one falls asleep at 8 o'clock. No, I think here's the. I was trying to get some perspective, and Jen was helping me with it all day. But it tied Stars Earn Stripes premiere this time last season on NBC, which Beth just said.
What is that?
That was like Layla Ali and Dean Cain, and they trained with military people, and they basically played paintball.
Well, I have absolutely no clue what you're talking about.
That was part of the problem. It was a huge Mark Burnett, fantastically shot, amazingly shot. But in the end, you don't really care what stars are running around. It was supposed to be, Dancing with the Stars.
Military style,
yeah.
Interesting.
Someone
pitched something like that to you once, Mike.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did I say that'll never sell?
We didn't do it, yeah.
But to be honest, only Mark Burnett could have pulled that off because it was so, the budget on it was just crazy. And it was all, he controls all of the product placement, and like you see him like driving around in a car. Like it's anyway. And that show did not do well. I think, did they finish the run of it? Stars and Stripes? Did it get pulled before? I don't know if it got pulled. So I would say that they're probably not thrilled with Million Second Quiz. I think the big caveat on this is that it was up against Monday Night Football.
That sucks. That's unfortunate.
And they did it on purpose. They knew when Monday Night Football premiered. It wasn't like, wait, what? It's on now?
And that's why they're purposely taking off Sunday.
And they premiere, because they've got football Sunday. They've got it's game night.
Yeah, NBC has the Sunday night.
Sunday night. Is it Game Night in America? Game Night in America. My America. And so, not yours, Beth.
Whatever.
No, people eat meat.
We're not going there.
My America.
No, dairy cows.
So yeah, they're going to take off Sunday, but they knew what it was going to be up against. My guess is that they're trying. This is an event. It's an event stunt, and that they see that it's going to grow. Like this is going to be I would not be surprised to see ratings go up considerably. They've got to be hoping that it doubles. Yeah. If I'm looking at the numbers and the amount of money and the amount of promo they've put behind it, they've got to look at that. This has got to start to double at least by the end of the week.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Listen, I'm cheering for it. Everyone's like, oh, don't you wish you were producing it? Yeah, I wish I was producing it. I wish I was hosting it. I wish I owned it, because that would be really nice. But in the end, good game is good for all game producers.
No, it's cool. And like having a live game kind of seems like, sort of antiquated, obviously since I've been around for 50 years, but it's really cool, like doing it with the app, and like I can see that being an awesome idea.
I think it's really innovative. The knocks I've heard, and I can't speak from, and we should all go home and watch it and then talk about it, is that it is did you find it hard to follow? Everything I read was hysterical. Like, so if you get the double blooper, then you go outside, and then that it was very intricate to follow. And to me, a good game, and somebody said it in one of the articles I read, I miss Regis saying, I'm going to give you this much money if you can answer this question.
I did kind of think that there wasn't a lot of good setup. Like I remember, you kind of just learn it on the go. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Sorry,
it's okay. I found the promos, and I've seen quite a few of them. I still don't really know what that show's about.
Well, that's the funny thing is we talked about it one other time, Mike, with Buzzerblog Dude, and
he was like, I don't know what it is.
I had read stuff online to try to prep and everything, and I still literally was like, I have no idea.
Do you know what it's about now?
I do, yeah. I mean, I didn't know it was going to be so much just like trivia. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't know it was going to be a quiz show?
I knew it was going to be a quiz show. I just thought there'd be like other parts to it. I don't know. But it truly is just... And it's also a little confusing. They sometimes have celebrities like do a screen to ask the question. And it's just there's a lot of aspects to it.
Which I think, is that desperate attempt to throw the kitchen sink at it, as opposed to, if you look at game that has succeeded in the past, super clean, very well produced, great host. Like look at Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
I think brilliantly produced, brilliantly directed. The 360 set, fantastic, and as simple as pick a briefcase.
Yeah. You know what I will say is I did like the set.
And I thought the set looked cool.
Which I found myself like, why am I even noticing that? But, I think game show sets are so...
You noticed it because you work in television.
Right. But game show sets are so, I think, tricky. You know, I think they're like a really tricky thing, and I really liked it. I thought it was good.
I think we got to get back to it. It's got to be clean. Like if you look at what have become cultural phenomenon type things, especially in the last 20 years, it isn't a thing with a lot of gadgets, pocket rules, side things. It's about like something that's super clean. Now, I'm excited for it, because if this thing works, then a clean, well-produced game show that makes sense
will open up.
Will be fantastic. And right now, every network is so averse to any quiz. Like if you say, so this has a quiz just to get into the audience, just to sit in the seats, like you see the eyes just roll back. And they're like, no. What you do is you walk by, the first guy gets punched in the nuts, and then another person gets hit on the head, and then they fall off of a bouncing ball into sludge. Huh? Who's with me? Like listening, liking, and that's what's worked. So this would be a very big change for them. And I think, they've bet pretty big on it.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested.
Yeah, we'll be.
Interested to see how it goes. Well, that's it, guys. We have gone on so long. Jen Bisgrove could not look more bored if she tried.
That's funny.
Get up, Jen.
Wake up, Jen.
You got to hit the cut button.
Oh, you know why? Because she doesn't have a home, so she hasn't slept in weeks.
Well, it's also the major depression from this past Sunday.
Oh no! Oh yeah, because she's a huge. Well, no, Wisconsin. Her college team won, And the Green Bay Packers could have won if Clay Matthews hadn't hit the guy when he was 12 yards out of bounds.
Yeah, but
Zoning
Wisconsin beat
out,
like a
zoning
JV
out.
team. That cannot be satisfying for you.
Well, it's better than them losing.
Well, it's better than my alma mater.
Oh, did Syracuse lose?
Yeah, twice already.
Oh, God. And they've only played one game.
Another lost season.
You know it's over now. At least you don't have to follow it.
Well, I know it's over before it starts in Syracuse football.
Were they ever good in football? Good at
Yeah,
basketball.
Jim Brown. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
The last time the Cleveland Browns were good is basically
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Jim Brown, Ernie Davis. That's,
Jeez.
Yeah. Beth is
Oh,
at the
God.
edge. Hey, should we talk about plays? Hey, that's all the time we
Oh,
have.
I
Thanks for
love
listening,
plays.
everybody. Adam Sandler,
Thank
the new
you.
director of The Price is Right, everybody.
Yay,
Come on.
Adam.
Look at him
Shut
go.
up.
Thanks for having me. Hey,
Adam, yeah.
louder.
Yeah, exactly. That was random. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bitches. Oh, God. Yeah, bitches. Oh, God. Yeah, bitches. Oh, God. Yeah, bitches. Oh, God.